Welcome along to episode 812 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, Alfie Moore lets us know about his touring show, which is arriving at the Stafford Gatehouse on the 2nd of February. We'll be finding out about Nutcracker in Havana, which is on at the Grand on Monday and Tuesday of this week. Robin Hood is the Panto from Cannock Drama Society. We'll be hearing from them all about what they have in store for that show. We'll be talking about life on the ocean waves with neuroscientist Dr. Jack Lewis. He'll be along to talk about the wellness wave and how being out at sea could help our state of mind. Dr. Hilary Jones informs us how we can look after our bodies and make sure that we don't end up like a created fella called Michael, who's got all sorts of health problems due to ultra-processed food. And we'll be finding out about a survey on public transport for those who are neurodivergent and making sure our public transport fit for all as we talk to the CEO of Happy Autistic Lady. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, Alfie Moore, former copper, now comedian, is appearing on stage at the Stafford Gatehouse on a Sunday. It is the 2nd of February, and it is going to be the place to be for some entertainment. The tour is a face for radio, and as ever, he's here to prove that. How are you doing, sir? You good?
I'm good, Jason. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Now, it's unusual that I talk about radio programs on other people's radio stations, but your Radio 4 show, It's a Fair Cop, is phenomenal. I very often listen to it on BBC Sounds, and I love the way you put moral dilemmas in front of your audience, and we are often end up down the wrong path as to what's real, what isn't, and the way it could work out. Explain a bit about how this came about, because it's all to do with your amazing career.
Yeah, no, it's all a bit bizarre. So I'm a copper in Scunthorpe, and my wife, so frontline uniform cop. I was a sergeant at the time. My wife took me to dragged me to a comedy club in Scunthorpe in Humberside. There was a new comedy club in town. I'd never been to one. She quite liked the idea, so off we went. I'd had a few drinks in me. It was a professional night with sort of good quality professional comedians. In the middle section, they did this thing where they had two newer acts do 10 minutes each, and then the audience voted one through. It was a national competition, and I'd had a few drinks by then, and I said to my wife, my briefings at work are funnier than this, and she said, well, off you go then, clever clogs, put your name down. So it was down to my wife. She dared me, and so I did. It wasn't that week, it was a week after, and I stood up and I did stand up for the first time. Just some stuff I'd written that day, and I got bitten by the bug, and it became my midlife crisis. And I found myself driving for 2 hours, doing like open mic circuit gigs, and standing in the corner of a pub, basically, Jason, talking to myself, and I quite liked it, and it became a thing. It became my little hobby. And then it sort of developed quite quickly, actually, and I started to get offered paid gigs and all the rest of it. So I had to declare it to the police, and then I started talking about policing, and I found that sort of helped spike people's interest. And then I took a show to the Edinburgh Festival, which was a dream as well. And given my status, my low status in comedy at the time, my performance space was a porter cabin in a pub car park in Edinburgh for the whole month. I mean, it's brilliant, the Edinburgh Festival.
Did it feel like a crime scene?
It did, man. It's quite soul destroying. When you're like, day after you fly, my wife and I was flying for about 3 hours a day to get 10 or 12 people in the porter cabin. And it was like really, really challenging. And one day, a lady walked in from BBC Radio 4, called Alison Vernon Smith. She said, I'm a BBC radio producer. Do you want to pitch a show to Radio 4? And I said, oh, yes, please. So that's how the It's a Fair Cop series started. And the premise of that is that it's recorded live in a theatre, a few hundred people in the room, and I swear them all in as police officers for the duration of the show. And then I set up a real case that I've dealt with with different sort of moral decision dilemma points along the way. It's comedy, so there's gags all the way through it and stand up all the way through it. But we talk through this case, and and it became a very popular show. It's now in the 9th series, is about to be recorded shortly, and there's 40 odd episodes on BBC Sounds if anybody's got a long drive coming up. And suddenly I was able to sell my own shows, and so I've been touring the last few years because of the popularity of the radio show, really, and I'm very much looking forward to coming to Staffordshire Gatehouse, which looks a beautiful room.
It's a very nice theatre, and I know that you're going to do well in there. I'd say it's our most local gig for you, so it's worthwhile us taking a little trip up the A449 to go and listen to your words of wisdom, and we be sharing some of your police stories on the night, because even though GDPR does try and stop you doing this sort of thing, and of course what you've signed up to say you won't tell names, you can tell situations.
Yeah. I mean, you have to tweak things a little bit, but I mean, and some of the stories are quite bizarre. But a quick Google check, and you'll soon realise that they are true. And nearly all of the stuff I do on the radio is based on true stories. It's my style, really. I like anecdotal, and I like to tell a story. And the best stories are the real stories, are the true stories. And I think people can tell as well when something's really happened. I think the way you tell it, people can tell that it's not made up. So yeah, it's quite a. I mean, it's a personal element to the show. So I talk a bit about my schooling in Sheffield. I talk a bit about getting older and how that feels. But yeah, there's police stories as part of it throughout the show, including Zeus, who was my German Shepherd police dog, who's much more popular than I am. If I tell a Zeus story, everybody, all the emails I get after the radio show's been on is, can we have more Zeus stories, please? Zeus stories. They don't want to hear me. They want to hear about Zeus. So yeah, police-based, and it's got that gallows humour. I'm not rude or crude, and I make no apologies for the gallows humour that we share with our emergency service colleagues. And I think it's that dark humour that keeps you almost sane, really.
I do not know how you cope with some of the things that you will have seen in your job. And the same goes for all the amazing people who work in the fire and ambulance service as well. Absolutely true heroes every single day of the week. And, it must be really difficult just sort of living your own life when you see the interesting and unusual ways people have messed up theirs.
Yeah. It's... I mean, it's got everything, really. I mean, I love being a cop. It's very moving. It's got the emotional side, and also, so the sad stuff as well. But really rewarding, as all those emergency service jobs are, because you actually physically help people. And I know that sort of the police have got getting a lot of bad press in recent years, but to actually be a frontline cop. And that's difficult to read for colleagues in the police. When they're trying their heart out, they can't finish on time. They're working long shifts. I feel sad for them to read some of the negative press going about, because most of them are absolute diamonds. But the fact is so satisfying that you can actually help people.
In every job, there's always going to be one or two literally bad eggs, and unfortunately, it tarnishes the whole name, particularly when it's something that we're so proud of in the shape of our police.
Yeah, and they're easy hits, because they never really fight back, the police, so they're quite easy hits for the national media to and negative news sells, as we know, Jason, and the sort of easy targets but having said that, they should be accountable. Of course, they should. We all should, and the policing certainly should be accountable. But it's just so busy, I won't get on my soapbox about public sector cuts, but they're having to survive on a shoestring, and all the cops have got trays full of work and stressed up to the eyeballs at the moment.
And if it wasn't for the fact they're exceptions, it wouldn't be news, and that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to paint all the press in a negative light either. I had some wonderful relationships with local journalists when I was in the police.
The fun thing is you're out on the road, you're making people laugh and sharing some brilliant stories from your time in the police. You're not going back to the steelworks days as well, are you?
Yeah, I mentioned the steelworks there. So born in Sheffield, started off I'm from a long line of Alfie Moores who were all Sheffield steelworkers, all engineers in the Sheffield steelworks. But just as my apprenticeship was finishing, there was a recession in the late 80s, and I got made redundant. And so there I was, a young man with a bit of a chip on the shoulder and zero prospects. So I joined the police, Jess, obviously, the obvious career move. And
well, it's either one thing or the other, wasn't it? You're either going to be on the side of the police or being picked up by the police, I suppose, at that point in your life.
Yeah. And, I was very grateful at the time because there wasn't many jobs you could walk into that paid. I'd just served a 4-year apprenticeship on very low money.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go for a low money job again and work my way up. And one thing about the police is you were on decent money from day one and they trained you up in house. So it was perfect for me, and I loved it. And you know what? The connection with the stand-up, of course, it's quite. There's a side of my personality that likes risk, and that can be a negative thing sometimes. But in the police, the blue lighting, which is one of the things I miss, and all that sort of, and running into dangerous situations, a side of my personality really like that stuff. And so when you don't do that anymore, you've got to fill that gap in a positive way, hopefully. And stand-up does that. It's very similar. Stand-up, you get the same buzz. And, policing is a lot about walking into a tense situation, and you've got strangers in front of you, and you've got to make a connection very quickly as a police officer, or you get thumped a lot. And walking into a theatre, walking into Stafford Gatehouse, and onto that stage, it's the same. I've got a room full of strangers. There's tension, and you've got to make that connection quickly, or you'll fail as a stand-up as well. So it's a lot of similarities, except you haven't got a stab vest and protective equipment on stage.
Yeah, well, and hopefully no arrests on the night as well, which is also quite an important part of it. But it is Sunday, the 2nd of February. It's Stafford Gatehouse Theatre, as said, gatehousetheatre.co.uk, or you can give the box office a call on 01785 619080. Have a bit of a natter with the gang there. Get your tickets. Be part of an amazing night of comedy. The inimitable Alfie Moore doing his thing, and no doubt sharing some stories you won't have heard before, but you won't believe they're true until you then Google them on the interval. So it is going to be an absolutely amazing night of humour. Alfie, lovely to speak to you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. See you out there somewhere.
It's January. The world seems to be a miserable place. Robin Hood robs from the rich, gives to the poor, and he's going to give you an amazing time from the 23rd to the 26th of January. It's all taking place courtesy of the Cannock Drama Society, 4 of whose number here with me now. Hello!
Hello!
Right, Julie, you look after this rabble. Tell us what's going on.
I am indeed. No, I have distinct trouble doing that. But to be fair, we are obviously doing Robin Hood. It's the traditional story, but we have stepped outside of our norm because Robin is not a principal girl as a boy. It is a boy. Alex, this is new for us. We've stepped outside tradition.
Mr. Woolliscroft, you get to be a boy and everything.
There's a first for everything.
It is actually quite a while since you appeared on stage in a male role as well, isn't it?
It's a little bit. It's been a bit of a long time, yeah. So it's nice. I'm still in tights, so
yeah.
It's not.
Always under those trousers.
Oh yeah.
And they are, of course, green.
Of course.
Naturally. And playing Robin Hood, so that's going to be jolly good fun. And you get a sort of a happy gang around you. We have Bethany, who's Maid Marian, and we've got Will Scarlett over there, Chris.
Well, Silly Willy.
Yeah.
To his friends.
Yeah.
But he won't let me be one of his merry men.
Ooh. Not yet.
Is that spoilers? Is that spoilers?
Not yet.
No.
Not really spoiled, but I have to work hard.
It's getting the sympathy. You see, he always goes after the
I
sympathy,
get the
does
sympathy
he
all the way
not?
through.
Normally, it's nobody's pity he goes for, but...
Well, actually, I've never thought of that. I'll bring that into it.
Indeed.
Pity and sympathy.
Beth, how are you going to cope with all this?
I'm just going along with the flow.
And what sort of Maid Marian do you get to be?
A really exciting one. She's very feisty, but she's also got a little bit of a soft side when she meets Robin Hood. So it's been really cool to play a little bit of both, which hopefully comes out to the audiences.
Okay, fingers crossed that'll work. And obviously, fun. It's a panto, but it's a panto that's there in January, which I think is nice, isn't it? It is when you need it.
The January blues are here, but we have 42 people on stage giving their all to take you up, get rid of that January depression, and we will show you that we can sing, we can dance, and we can act.
And it's all taking all taking place at the
This
the Prince
is
of
what
Wales.
I have to put up
all the
with.
time. Yeah, but they're amazingly talented, aren't they? I've seen these
yeah.
on television before.
Look at the
mostly.
wit. Look at the wit. They're just there, and it's Beth's first one as a lead role, so that's really important for us to give new members that opportunity as well. We've got 22 children in it. We carried on from Annie, so 22 little dancers, singers, right at the front, bombarding everybody with their energy, I would like to say. And then we've got a further 20 odd ensemble, so it's a massive production for us. It is at the Prince of Wales. We want it to be really good because it potentially, on a poignant note, could be the last one.
Yeah, we don't know yet, do we?
We don't, so it's important for us to do this and really do it well.
Well, I know it's going to be amazing. So there's comedy, and that's just Alex and Will working together. Well, Alex and Chris working together. So that's going to be good. But how much nylon? How many pairs of tights have you worked it out? And have you got emergency tights in case of accidents?
Well, we've got. Well, you see, we've got green tights here.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have red tights there.
To match his cheeks.
I'll be up or here.
So that's an awful lot. And then we've got some purple tights for a page. It's we're doing the whole rainbow of tights.
Tights are plenty. There's not a pair of tights left in Cannock.
No,
That's basically what we're saying. You have them all.
Alex, will you please do your compulsory slap of thigh? I mean, it's tradition.
But he's been practising that. He has been practising. The sound
Doesn't
there.
sell a ticket, I don't know.
Oh, and talking to selling tickets, where do we go to?
We go to cannockchasedrama.co.uk, which is our online ticket booking centre. Or you can alternatively, of course, phone the Prince of Wales. We would prefer you to do it through this because we get a better access, a better income towards whatever we do in the future. But we just want bums on seats to see how good it is and to show that we can fill the Prince of Wales at this very sensitive time.
Yeah, at the edge of your seats, entertainment all the way through. And the fact that you're probably going to be crying with laughter as well is going to help too, yeah?
Definitely.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Well, this one over here has some very interesting comedy routines.
No spoilers.
Okay.
But,
You
I
have to
can't,
buy a
but
ticket.
they are very, very funny. And they are so funny that the whole of the cast, when these are about to occur, come to the front and sit here.
I don't actually know how I'm going to be on stage with them, to be quite honest.
Okay, it's going to be a laugh a minute.
So there's
I think in Panto it don't matter, you can get away with it.
No, you can
you
actually, yeah.
so there's
What
some
goes on off script,
yeah.
it's the interesting bit as well.
There's a script as well.
Well,
You didn't
exactly.
tell them they got a script.
That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? But there
People
is.
enjoy about
There
Panto
is,
when things go
indeed.
wrong.
Yeah.
So Chris has got some smashing scenes on his own, but then he comes into play with Alex and Brian, who isn't here this evening, but he's the Fry Tuck Dame Nellie type person. And,
Okay.
there's a very interesting song in the second act. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, there's no spoilers, but it is going to be an amazing time to be had by all. It is Thursday through Sunday, the 23rd through to the 29th of January. That web address again.
cannockchasedrama.co.uk.
And you can be found on CT and all sorts as well,
Yes.
can't you? So just
Correct.
give it a search. You'll find them. They are amazing. Go along and see them. You'll have a brilliant time. Break a leg. Don't ladder your tights. See you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
Now with Carlos Acosta's Nutcracker in Havana at the Grand Theatre on the 13th and 14th of January. It is going to be an amazing explosion of dance in full Cuban style. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Raul Reynoso. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So first of all, tell us a bit about your part in the show, because you get to be a bit of a cheeky brother.
Yeah. So I'm playing Fritz, which is the Clara's brother. So It is like the annoying kids just running around, and it's a bit joyful, but also a bit grumpy, you know?
So, it is going to be an amazing show, though, and a take on the Nutcracker. Audiences in the UK probably haven't seen the likes of before.
Yeah. So this Nutcracker, it's very authentic because Carlos put on the table the Cuban taste. So you will be see there the family jokes and kids running around and playing with a lot of gift. Yeah, and of course the Cuban landscape, colorful, the weather, you know, and it's a very warm show. It's a show in that kind of relationship with the audience. So the audience every every time it's like smiling, and yeah, it's great feeling that feedback from the audience when you are on stage, you know, performing.
And the show itself, obviously, it has Tchaikovsky's music, but it has that Cuban flavor to it, doesn't it? And that is something that will be both different, so it'll be familiar, but still something very new.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Tchaikovsky score, but in this occasion, Pepe Gabilondo, the Cuban composer who arranged the music for this show, he put a very tasty rhythms and sounds, you know, like you are listening on the street in Cuba. So it's very familiar. Directly, you will land on Havana sounds, landscape, you know?
Well, it's going to be an amazing experience with 20 dancers on stage. So 20 dancers all bringing joy to the audience.
Yeah. The energy between each dancer, just building that big explosion and sparks. You know, it becomes gorgeous, colorful, energetic. Like yeah, a very high uh, level of energy, and of course we are putting these together and projecting to the audience, and a lot of people will be waiting for us on the stage door, just for you know, sharing the feedbacks, how they just felt during the
Well,
show. Yeah.
and how long have you been with Acosta Dance?
Well, I'm a founding member, so yes, I'm about 10 years with Carlos from the very beginning. Yeah,
Well, and Carlos has never been one to shy away from the big titles. I mean, having done Carmen, Don Quixote.
yes, of course. Uh, the most of the time, he played some principal roles on his production.
Yeah.
Maybe opening night, you know. Yes. For example, in Carmen, last year in Sadler's Wells, he was playing the bull in Carmen, in his Carmen. So it was amazing impact for the audience. Everybody just there watching that powerful presence.
Well, it's going to be an amazing 2 evenings of dance. It is taking place, as I say, on the 13th and 14th. You have a 7:30 on the Monday night, and then on the Tuesday, a 2:30 matinee and a 7:30 performance as well. And that must be a hard day's work for you guys. This is energetic, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, as you said before, some days we are running twice. So, yeah, of course, it's tiring, but at the same time, we are, you know, we are grateful. We are grateful for connecting, for having the opportunity to connect with the audience, to share a piece of our country culture. And yeah, I mean, it is something important for Cuban people, just sharing who they are with the rest of the world, and just let it know how we live, our culture, our
And
yeah.
this is brought together with the visuals we'll see as well, isn't it? Because you'll have the Cuban take on the Tchaikovsky music, but also the set and props also bring this to life alongside some of the costume too.
Yeah, for sure. So on stage, you will be like a digital projection, which is about the old Havana building, that whole eclectic style architecture, like a visual, like a drone flying over the building, old Havana building. So all that beautiful architectural landscape, and going to the side country, mountains, green. Yeah.
It sounds like it is going to be an amazing spectacle, something to bring, as we say, joy and the lively music and the amazing dance to the theatre. It's going to be phenomenal on both the 13th and 14th of January. Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre, 01902 429212 is the box office number, grandtheatre.co.uk to get your tickets. You'll want to see the team from Acosta Danza being part of the amazing Nutcracker in Havana, all brought to life through Carlos Acosta's vision and bringing that to the stage. I mean, Raoul, have an amazing time. The tradition is to say break a leg in the UK. I don't know whether you're aware of that one, but certainly don't physically injure yourself. But I shall wish you good luck that way. Raoul Reynoso, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much. Have a good day and see you there, please.
Now, when it comes down to what we eat, ultra-processed foods can have an absolutely huge knock-on effect to our health. The team at Gusto have put together Michael, who is the epitome of all things gone wrong. If we spend 30 years eating these terrible things, we should make our food from scratch. We know it. Dr. Hilary Jones knows it too, and he joins me now to tell me more about this campaign. How are you doing, sir? Happy New Year.
And to you, Jason. How are you?
Oh, all good here, and I actually have started my new year behaving myself. We've discussed in the past the fact I'm a little bit overweight. I've got about 7 stone to lose. I look way too much like this AI-generated chap at the moment. So there's lots of things we can do to start to fix this, though. But first of all, explain the damage that ultra-processed foods do.
Yeah, let's talk about what they are, first of all. These are the ingredients in our foods that we would not normally use in our kitchen if we were cooking from scratch. They're not natural parts of foods. So they're things like emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, colorings, and flavors, which are designed to give food a longer shelf life, which is no bad thing, but also to make food more convenient and appealing. And it certainly does that. The food industry have used them deliberately for that, and they market these foods aggressively. Ready-made meals, for example, foods which are pre-packaged, convenience foods. So much of what we eat, for example, if people have just had their breakfast, they might have reached for a cereal packet that would be high in salt and sugar, the contents of that. They might reach for some bread for toast. Well, that bread, if it's pre-sliced in a pack, will be quite highly processed. So simple things that you wouldn't normally think of that we reach for: pre-packed soups, instant soups, cakes, biscuits, confectionery, tinned tomatoes rather than passata with herbs, which is uncooked tomatoes without seeds and skin, for example. So we could easily make swaps, but the ultra-processed foods that we're consuming are being consumed in such huge quantities. 60% of our energy intake will come from foods which are high in ultra-processed foods. 60%, with the second worst in the world. We only consume 2% less than they do in the USA. And this increase in consumption has coincided with obesity and diabetes and many other health-related conditions over the last 30 years. And there's no doubt that the overwhelming scientific evidence is that this is having a detrimental effect on our health.
Yeah, and it's the likes of soft drinks. Now, I'm not a fan of drinking calories, but low-calorie soft drinks say they do contain things which are not natural products. They may taste nice, but you're better off just having water or milk or something sensible like that that is actually natural. I mean, skimmed milk, a fantastic, tasty drink, and has got natural sweetness in it from the lactose.
And plenty of healthy nutrition. That's right. I mean, a typical can of cola will contain about 9 teaspoons of sugar, empty calories, which are just going to be deposited as fat in the body. The trouble is we get addicted to these strong tastes, high sugar, high salt, high fat, none of which is healthy. But we can retrain our palates quite quickly within a few weeks just by persevering with some healthier choices. And there are other options, such as the recipe box Gusto makes, which can be delivered to your door, which is still convenient because you can prepare that healthy, nutritious, fresh food within 10 minutes. It will give you recipe ideas, talk you through how to prepare that food, and they can be really proud of themselves because their recipes are only 11% ultra processed ingredients. Which is far better than the 60% that so many of us are consuming most of the time.
Yeah, because a small amount of this, as you said, it is about keeping things fresh so we can have choice. But if we can then add in something natural, like you talked about tomatoes, I mean, tomatoes are fantastic for you. I think there's even antioxidants in them, aren't there? There's all sorts of things in there which are great. But you have them as a ketchup, not so good.
That's right. So tomatoes contain, as you say, antioxidants, lycopene, which is useful in the prevention of prostate issues. So that's a simple example. So as soon as we process something like a tomato, we automatically render it less nutritious and less giving of the ingredients that keep us healthy. We need more fiber in our diet. Most of us consume about 20 grams. We should probably have about 30 grams of fiber in our diet. Fiber is important for digestive health and the prevention of colorectal cancers. But the British Medical Journal published their study last year looking at 45 different studies involving 10 million people, and they identified at least 32 adverse health outcomes, including obesity, diabetes, cancers, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer, poor sleep, anxiety, depression, to name but a few. So Michael is this visual image of somebody 30 years from now who just looks awful. He looks 60, he's probably 35. He's got dark circles and bags around his eyes because he's not sleeping. He's got a massive gut on him. He's got joint problems, skin problems. He's got fatty liver. He's got heart issues. I could go on, but I don't want to scare people. But by making healthier choices now, we can prevent ourselves from becoming Michael down the line.
And healthy doesn't have to mean too expensive. It doesn't have to mean boring and uninteresting. Having done a Gusto box, I know the fantastic flavors that you can get from these things. So it is an enjoyable way of doing it, and it's a bit of fun. And even if you take some ideas from that and bring it into your own cooking, these things can make a difference.
Yeah, I tried their Christmas lunch a recipe box, which is amazing, really, really good. And they've got over 500 recipes to choose from and a health hub that people can go to on the website and get further information. There's a report that people can access. If you go to gusto.co.uk/blog, you get a copy of that report. Very interesting reading, and people get lots of inspiration from that website.
But it is that thing. It is the inspiration. It's the having something which is tasty and interesting that makes you not only want to eat your tea because you're looking forward to it because you're hungry, but making sure you're hungry for it when you get there rather than having snacked all day. But also, it's having a rainbow of colours on the plate and enjoying all those different food groups. And as I say, it's fun cooking from scratch. It may seem time consuming at times, but you go through one of those recipes and they even tell you how long it's going to take so you can plan your day accordingly.
That's it. I'm talking to the converted, aren't I?
I do love this sort of stuff. I need to behave as I go through this year because I've been eating too many other things out of packets at the same time as enjoying good food. But we shall give that a go. Give us those web details again where people can go along and find out more about Gusto.
So gusto.co.uk/blog.
I'll expect to see you and your pinny on your Instagram timeline cooking something up interesting from one of your Gusto boxes. Dr. Hilary Jones, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us and catch you again soon.
Listen, take care.
Now, the pressure of work and New Year's resolutions, what's ahead of us in 2025, all starts to leave us feeling a bit drained in January, but it doesn't have to be that way. Cunard had done some research that tells us about the wellness wave. To tell us more, I'm joined now by TV neuroscientist Dr. Jack Lewis. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Jason. How you doing?
All good here. I find you well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good stuff. So, what is going on here? Because January is difficult at the best of times, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we all spend a few days, weeks, if we're lucky, unwinding over the Christmas period, and then you come into the new year, and it can be tough to get your brain to switch back on.
Yeah, and with the fact that there is so much to come in the new year, the pressure, as we say, is there. Yeah. How do we improve things though? Because with ocean travel, they have this wellness wave. What's the story here?
Right. So this is fascinating bit of research that was commissioned by Cunard, the cruise company, and they have the world's only ocean liner. And they did an experiment where they took 40 of the passengers, they tested them all on day zero before they set off, and then tested them again 5 days later, and they found some really interesting results. So they did a whole battery of different cognitive tests, and on average, people's capabilities went up by 26%. They also took a load of measures of stress and found that people were much more relaxed. Their stress levels were reduced by 35% in terms of the physiological measurements that were taken. But in terms of the degree to which they felt less stressed, they perceived that they were more relaxed, that went up by 158%. So they felt 158% more relaxed, less stressed.
So more than effectively twice as relaxed, isn't it, really?
Yes, sometimes those percentages read quite confusingly, don't they? That's more than 2.5 times less stressed.
Yeah, because I mean, a 29% increase in memory recall is pretty much amazing, and that in itself is good going. But to actually feel that much more relaxed, and the improvement in their problem solving ability at 125% as well, that's huge. And all these things, it's taking the time away, it lets our minds work better.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have predicted that part, that cognitive performance improvement. I wouldn't necessarily have predicted, because if you think of a holiday as being just an opportunity to unwind and de-stress and get some distance from real life and maybe just be a bit more in the moment, you would anticipate that people would feel more relaxed, not necessarily that their cognitive performance would improve. But if you think about what actually takes place on board this ocean liner, there's a very wide range of different activities available. You can go to a lecture, you can go to a theatrical production by the Royal Shakespeare Company, you can do an art class, you can go for a swim, relax and read in the library, play board game. Like, there's so many different places you can go and explore, and there's so many different experiences that you can have, that I think it's a very unique environment where you gradually over the course of the voyage become more and more relaxed, but at the same time your mind is stimulated. So it kind of does this delicious combination of impacts on body and brain that leaves a person feeling much better off. And certainly a lot of the passengers had some quite transformative experiences, in the sense that they're just, it's so relaxing to be able to go up on deck 360. You've got the widest possible horizon, water all around you. It's just an extremely relaxing yet stimulating environment to be in.
It sounds absolutely phenomenal. Because I mean, we're using our minds the whole time, but it does stimulate in a different way to the sort of things that we might do for pleasure. But still, we're not switching off. We're still challenging ourselves in this, but we're challenging ourselves to enjoy ourselves. And I think that's an amazing turnaround that you've seen in this research. And a trip from Southampton to New York, literally a journey to self discovery.
Absolutely. And if you add into the mix the fact that they do White Star service, it's like the absolute luxury of luxuries. Every need is catered for. The staff are incredibly friendly and helpful, and people, often feel like they can't remember the last time they felt so relaxed and pampered, because it's the absolute acme. It's the pinnacle of pampering.
It does sound like something the doctor might order. I should think you should be prescribing this if it were possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't that be a great thing to write someone a prescription for a trip on the world's only ocean liner? That, Cunard have been going across the Atlantic for 180 years, taking people on these wonderful holidays. So they certainly know what they're doing.
Yeah, I love the concept that this can make such a huge difference. And the important thing is it doesn't require us to take, yeah, there's no drugs involved. Everything that's going on is entirely natural.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's harnessing something that runs very deep for humans. We have a natural affinity to water. We like being in water, we like being on water, we like looking out across water. And there's definitely something to be said for, water as a let's say a visual phenomenon. When you look at it, the waves undulating across it, the horizon stays pretty much where it is,
Yeah.
thanks to gravity. But the undulation of the water movements on top of the surface of the water, it's constantly changing. So it's never the same twice. It's always somewhat different, but it always stays within pretty much the same zone. So that kind of visual stimulus is something which is really calming. And also acoustically, like the sounds of the ocean, the wind and the wind whistling past you, the feeling of freshness, tactile sense of the wind on your face. We like being in the elements. We evolved, very much near water, pretty much always. We needed a source of water. We needed to be in it. The sea and ocean are full of good food, good brain food. Our brain is made out of very similar material to shellfish, for example. So there's a lot of evidence to suggest that we have a long history as a species of being in and out of the water, nearby to it. It gives us a sense of, it makes us feel good, but it also makes us feel calm.
Yeah, but even just the fresh air that's there. I mean, the ionization effect of the sun under the water, vaporizing it up, and just that little bit of sparkle in the air. And so that must be amazing when you're out at sea, and that is what's surrounding you all the time. There is nothing nasty coming from the land.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can see like all around you. There's something nice about the sense of you can know that you're getting away from it all. But when all you can see in every direction is sea, you get that sense of it's just us on this amazing ship. Lots of other people going through a similar experience, slowly but surely over a period of several days, decompressing, opening their minds, broadening their horizons in terms of the stimulating activities they have to do. And you're much more likely to be able to keep in the moment, in the sense of a lot of our worries, a lot of our anxieties, that they're pretty much exclusively things that we're brooding over that happened in the past or things that might happen in the future that we're concerned about. But when you're so far away from everything, all of your needs are catered for in this location you find yourself on, it's the perfect way to just cast off the shackles, if you like, of the worries in life and really just be in the moment, enjoy the moment to moment experiences that you can have.
So where can we go to find out how we can find ourselves on the crest of this wellness wave?
Oh, beautifully put. So if you go to the Cunard website and then search for Wellness Wave, the whole report in great detail, you can look at exactly each of the cognitive tests and all of the sort of machinery, the devices that we use to reveal this data. It's all there at the touch of a button.
And I'm sure you'll be putting yourself down to do a lot more testing on everyone who ever goes on one of these liners in the future, yeah?
Funny you should say that. I'm hoping for a lecture tour. If I play my cards right, you never know.
Fingers crossed for you. It'll be do
Thanks,
you good
Jason.
at the same time as working. For now, TV neuroscientist Dr. Jack Lewis, thanks as ever for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Jason.
Happy Autistic Ladies Iveta Pudilova is working alongside Transport for West Midlands, looking at a survey on neurodivergent individuals. How people work in our world around us is different by everybody's interpretation of it. And she joins me now to tell me more about the work that's going on. How are you doing?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, good to talk to you. So first of all, give us a bit of a background to Happy Autistic Lady.
Of course. So Happy Autistic Lady is a company that delivers neurodiversity training and awareness campaigns to businesses, universities, any kind of organization to help improve reputation, satisfaction, and retention of neurodivergent students and staff. And we started a few years back when my sister was diagnosed autistic. So it's very much based off our lived experiences and our expertise around neurodiversity. And we're now working with Transport for West Midlands to make public transport in the region more accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to it, autism and neurodivergency, ADHD, these have all existed since human beings have been on this planet. However, our understanding of these conditions and the way in which we help others to work in what is an increasingly unusual world for the chemical makeup of our minds is something which is hugely important that we do. Now, whilst in the past people have excelled in different areas because of their autism or ADHD, it's getting to grips with how and why now that makes it more interesting. And also, whereas people may have shied away from certain environments or surroundings because of the way in which their mind works, actually these days we can be much more understanding and make these areas accessible to more and more people.
Definitely agreed.
So, what is the basis of the survey, and how does it start to get a better understanding of users of these transport services who may be non-standard in the neuro stakes?
So the reason behind why we're doing this survey is because nothing like this has been done before from a lived experience and expert-led perspective. About 20% of the UK's population is neurodivergent or has a hidden disability, so quite a significant percentage of public transport users fit that category as well. But what we found is that that demographic, that population, will have different barriers when using public transport, including things like sensory sensitivities, navigating public spaces, but then it also really importantly impacts access to employment and education. Because if you can't use the bus or the metro to get to your final destination, that's going to impact your day-to-day life. And so with Transport for West Midlands, we're trying to not only improve accessibility of public transport, but in the long run, ultimately also improve the accessibility for people to, go to their jobs, to go to their studies, or access community engagement, which all adds to mental health and people's well-being.
Yeah, and these sort of things have got various different levels of access requirements, and we very often these days see people with noise cancelling headphones on. Now, on the metro or on the bus, actually, so many people have got headphones on, it doesn't stand out. But if we see it in a theatre or in another non sort of an environment where you wouldn't necessarily expect someone to be listening to music, actually, those noise cancelling headphones are what allows someone to be there very often, and it's that sort of accessibility and the understanding without looking across and tutting at someone not paying attention. Actually, those headphones are how they pay attention.
Exactly. And there's a misconception that, wearing headphones or any kind of noise reducers means that you can't hear, or as you said, that you're listening to music. But in reality, quite often it allows you to actually be in a space. And, public transport is a very loud and noisy place. And so having those noise cancelling headphones or earplugs can actually, allow you to focus or dim down surrounding noise and access that space, or even have conversations with those around you.
Yeah, because a close sound will always penetrate, and it's the sort of imagine being on a plane all of your life and the noise that you get from being on there, and how that can really wind you up. Imagine that, but it's standard everyday sounds which you're doing, and not just the sound of a Boeing 747. That sort of thing. It's interpreting and understanding for people as well, isn't it? That's important.
Exactly, and it's really important as well to be aware of why people might wear headphones or use other kind of aids, because if you constantly have to explain yourself to others, it can get quite tiring and energy draining. I mean, those who are listening, or even you yourself, you probably might have, a glass of water by your side or a cup of tea. And if, you went to work every day and your colleagues or your team members were to be asking every 10 minutes, oh, why are you drinking water? Why are you drinking water? It'd probably get a bit annoying explaining, right? Wouldn't it? Because for you, that's just automatic and it's something that you need to do. Similarly, as for a neurodivergent person, wearing headphones in a loud space are a necessity alongside other aids. Constantly explaining that can be really anxiety inducing or tiring. And so if those around you have the awareness and understand and respect that you do those kind of things to support yourself, and that can make a massive difference on your well-being and your ability to access public transport and other spaces.
So what is the status on the survey at the moment?
So it's just been launched today, and if you scan this QR code right here with your phone or any kind of device, it'll take you to the website where you can fill it out online, and it's going to be open until the end of the month, so until the 30th of January. It only takes a few minutes to fill out, and if you do fill it out, then you'll also actually even be entered into a prize draw with a chance to win a £50 Amazon voucher. So it's also a fantastic way of sharing your experiences, whether you're neurodivergent or not. The survey's open to everyone. And it's also an amazing way to help shape the future of the West Midlands and how public transport services will look across the entire country.
And of course, have you got a Facebook page which is also featuring that link?
Definitely. So if you go on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, any other social media platforms, and you simply search for Happy Autistic Lady, it'll be right there. Or you can also go on Google or onto any, Chrome Safari, put in happyautisticlady.com, and you will find the link and more information about the survey online.
But this is only a small part of the work that you do. And you mentioned a little bit earlier on about how you actually run workshops and the like. So tell us a bit more about how maybe schools or businesses get in touch with you and what sort of workshops you're able to deliver.
Cool. So easiest way to get in touch with us is going on one of our social media platforms or on our website. Simply search for happyautisticlady.com and fill out the contact form there. Or you can send an email to info@happyautisticlady.com as well directly. And we deliver training and workshops either directly to neurodivergent students and staff or to managers to help them support their neurodivergent community. And the reason why this is so important, both in workplaces and educational settings, is because every year up to 8,000 autistic students drop out of higher education. And up to 50% of neurodivergent staff are actively thinking of leaving the workplace. So not that just they want to leave, but they are actively searching for a new company to go to. And the reason why this is so important is because for universities, that dropout rate of autistic students results in £73 million in lost tuition in one academic year. Bearing in mind that's only autistic students. That doesn't include those who are dyslexic or ADHDers. Unfortunately, there's a lack of data on that. So those numbers are likely to actually be so much higher. And those neurodivergent staff members, 50% of those who are actually thinking of leaving, if they were actually to leave, then that would result in £25 billion in potential turnover costs across the country. I mean, imagine what that would do not only to the economy, but even to a company's reputation if suddenly 50% of the neurodivergent staff left, and to their potential expenses of hiring new staff. So receiving training is really important, not just for ethical and legal reasons where there is legislation in place to protect and support neurodivergent and disabled staff. It's not just ethical and legal reasons and, ensuring the well-being of your staff members and students, but also, to ensure the retention of everyone in the long run and ensure everyone has equal access to opportunities.
But equally, that everyone has access to people who've got amazing skill sets, and it's something which we've not really talked about until the last 30, 40 years in any sort of detail. Yet there've always been neurodivergent people out there doing what they do and doing it so well. We just have never started to understand. And whilst things like autistic burnout and the fact that somebody's social battery may not be where it needs to be for the situation they find themselves in, now we appreciate that more than we've ever done before. And I think it's those facilitating parts of our society that we need to focus on. Yes, there are negatives with everybody's personality, and there are negatives around being autistic or having ADHD. That's just the way it is. So there's an awful lot of great work that can be done here to allow businesses and education establishments to get the best out of everybody.
Definitely. And I always like to say that, neurodiversity and neurodivergence, it's a human experience. Difference with neurodivergent individuals that they have different kind of traits, different combination of traits, and to a greater extent. But it is a hidden disability at the end of the day. Neurodivergent individuals will have strengths and will have areas where they need more support. But studies have proven that neurodivergent teams, when they receive the support that they need, they're up to 30% more productive than neurotypical teams. And that's not to say that any kind of a neurological, is more superior, but it just shows how when you receive the support that you need, that you can really flourish and excel at whatever it is that you do. And so it's just about understanding people's needs and how we can help everyone around us.
Yeah, it's like every great artist is nothing without the materials, and it's just the same.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So I love the fact that you have all sorts of tips and advice on the website, including your range of stickers as well. And I think stickers and badges. I mean, ADHD and autism are sometimes a badge that needs to be worn publicly so people understand what's going on. And I mean, that's something that you actually have, the stickers and badges, to be worn publicly.
Thank you. Yes, that's actually how we started the business several years ago. We started as a shop selling empowering badges and stickers that help you communicate your needs for you without having to verbalize them. And it kind of touches on what we spoke about earlier, about having to constantly explain or, share your support needs with others. Because, if someone were to tell you that they're autistic or neurodivergent, would you necessarily really understand what that means? Maybe not. But even if you would, then everyone's experiences are different. One autistic person will be very different from another autistic person. And so we create and sell these badges and stickers that you can wear on your lanyard, your t-shirt, your backpack. You can put a sticker on your water bottle, your laptop, anywhere you really want. And it will say things like, oh, I'm wearing noise cancelling headphones, but I can still hear you, for those who use noise cancellers, or things like that. I don't do eye contact, but I'm still listening. Many autistic people aren't comfortable with eye contact and then experience, being told they're rude or people thinking that they're not listening because they're not making eye contact when that's actually not the case. And so wearing a badge like this or a sticker can help you communicate your needs without having to verbalize them every single time.
More ways of helping to create a surroundings which is accessible to all, and it's all part of that journey that everybody goes on through life, and it's so important that we all get to shine in our own ways, and this is just another way of doing it. With that work that you're doing with Transport for West Midlands as well, and that survey which we said we can find on the Facebook page, there's some amazing steps forward that are there to make sure that everyone can be involved in the workplace, in being able to get there and on time, and make the most of everything that we have around us. Because I mean, we're in a world now which is so much more accessible through the likes of the internet and the way in which we can interact and the way we can choose to interact, whether it be maybe somebody only likes communicating via WhatsApp rather than talking on the phone. All these sort of things actually don't often make a difference. And it's great that we now have technology that can help us do this, as well as the understanding from real life human beings, as whether we say neurotypical or a standard, or there is a divergency in some way there. So there's some brilliant work that's been done. Give us all the details once again on where we can find you, including the Facebook page.
Thank you so much. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn if you search for Happy Autistic Lady, or you can go directly to our website, happyautisticlady.com, where you'll find more information about neurodiversity, the survey, and you can also find our shop there with the empowering communication badges and stickers.
And can people email in as well?
Definitely feel free to email in with any questions that you might have. Our team is always more than happy to answer and help out.
And what email address should we use there?
If you simply type in info@happyautisticlady.com, then you'll get right through to us.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work, and good luck with the survey. So it runs through till the end of this month. So worthwhile having your say. And again, this is open to everybody. You don't have to be neurodivergent to be part of this. For now, Iveta Pudilova, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's a lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 813 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.